Sorry about that, everyone. I had the bug guy out today, and he was spraying around, and no matter what, I don't know what's in that spray, but it gets me every time. I go into coughing fits for a couple of days after he's been here. At any rate, what I was saying was that if you have more than one set of pencils, you should probably have a swatch book, and you might want to think about swatching all of your pencils out just because the color in the pencil doesn't always look like the color on the barrel or the color that it indicates that it is. Now, obviously, if they're pencils that you're used to, you don't need to do that because you know what color's coming out. But up until a couple of months ago, these were the only coloring supplies that I had because I didn't color. I only used pen and ink. And as you can see, I have a fair number of microns. These are the new ones that just had ink added to them. These are old ones. And then, of course, I have packages of brand new ones as well. So these are just the ones that live on my desk. So when I started collecting coloring supplies, and I got my first set of pencils that I had was a Crayola. Actually, it was made by Kodak, so it was not pre-Crayola, but they stopped making Kodak, of course, when the Kodak company sold out. This was even before it was Kodak Eastman or Eastman Kodak. And I had a set of Crayolas, Crayola colored pencils, and a set of the Kodaks. They were basically exactly the same pencils, same colors, and they sat in a jar, and I only used them when I needed to color an example of something. So, for instance, I don't know if I have it. I'm sure I have it somewhere. The first page that I ever colored when I listed my very first drawing in my Etsy shop, it's here somewhere, but I can't find it. I colored with those Kodaks. Shortly after hearing that I only had one set of pencils, my friend Sue Curry sent me a set of Marco Raffines that she couldn't use because she has arthritis in her hands. And of course, the first thing I did was swatch those out. I love them. I have since passed them on. I bought myself a set of Prismacolors, and I did a swatch of those, and that's here. I just bought the 72 set. I didn't need an awful lot of coloring supplies. And so I just used to keep these tucked in the tin. And then, upon hearing that I only had two sets of pencils, actually one set of pencils because I'm back to just the Prismas, I gave the Crayolas and the Kodaks to my neighbor across the street when I gifted them a couple of my books and they were pencils. So I gave those away as well. So Rose, my friend Rose Rambo, was clearing out her stash of coloring supplies she didn't use anymore. And so she sent me these. And let me back out. There we go. These are knockoff polychromos, and they're really good pencils though. And of course, polychromos are her go-to pencil. So if Rose says they're really good pencils, then they are. And of course, these were licensed to a company called Deli, I have looked that up since on Facebook or on Amazon and discovered that they're now being licensed to a company called Starjoy. They're $26.99 for a set of 72. They're beautiful pencils. They feel very similar to a polychromos. I have held them. I have not colored with them, so I don't know, but I will tell you, are fabulous. Um, and at $26.99, they're affordable. And I will put a link below to the new version of to the new box. The box and everything is the same. The only difference is instead of Deli, it says Starjoy down here. And so I swatched these out. There are 2 trays, great color selections, lots of greens, lots of blues, lots of browns. Obviously, Rose used the white, and that's pretty cool. And the black, which is that one over there. But other than that, it's practically a brand new set of pencils. So thank you, Rose. It was very sweet. And they are really good pencils. I'll show you the swatch of them that I did. I want to also talk a little bit about that thing, but we'll do that a little later. And these are the Deli. Private license polychromos knockoff. And this is the swatch of them. And as you can see, they really are beautiful colors. They have a wonderful entire line of flesh tones, which I think is wonderful. And my arrows all sort of tell me, like, these all grouped together are the this one actually belongs up here. I messed up when I did this, but these are all the flesh tones right here. And then when you go over here, this is a lovely flesh tone as well, as is this one. Anyway, so that is those. But when you do end up with multiple sets, rather than tucking your color swatches into the individual boxes, it can be easier to just have the book out rather than have to search each box with the different swatches to find exactly the color that you need if you are using multiple pencil sets in what you're coloring. So I highly recommend it. This thing was $4.99 at Walmart. Such a deal. Sorry, you don't need my address. Oh, that was one thing though. When you have a sketchbook or anything that you want to keep, and or if you lose it, you'd like to have somebody mail it back to you, put your name and address somewhere in it so that people can know where to send it to. I had a lady in my coloring group who misplaced, she left them behind in a restaurant, all of her books, and someone picked them up and I'm hopefully are enjoying them, but she had hours and hours of work in each book of her coloring work, and all of that is now gone. And so that's a shame. Who knows if somebody had found them, if they would have mailed them back to her if they'd have known where to mail them to, but it can't hurt. I wanted to say, over at Simple Art for Adults, Erin Jarbo demoed these, and you can go and see her video for them. One is, this is hologram, and she used this in a page from Joanna Basford's Lost Ocean, and it's glitter paint and acrylic glitter paint. And what she did is she used a light gray color in between all of the little sea creatures and then painted over it with this hologram. And it gave this just beautiful effect. And I hope that I can get the camera to show this. Let me try something as long as I'm experimenting with it. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn off autofocus. And I'm going to blur it out. But then I'm going to bring this up. And hopefully, if I do it right, it's going to come into focus. At any rate, it's very pretty stuff. You'll just have to take my word for it. Back to autofocus. There we go. It's a nifty feature of the camera. And I tried the hologram on a lot of different colors and a lot of different mediums. I used some blue watercolor marker. I tried the gold over a brown watercolor marker. I was just playing, just seeing what the different colors will do. It also has red, comes in red, a really pretty fuchsia, silver. I didn't get the purple, but I kind of wanted to, but I'd already blown my budget kind of thing. And then back here are my Derwent ink tints and my swatch of the Black Widows. And there they are. So there are those two things. The last thing I want to show, the last thing I want to show you this time is, once again, when I started, I had a vague idea of what things were. Said, what brand it was. So you hear about these plastic cutting boards at the dollar store. So I went to the dollar store and I looked in the craft section, I looked in the coloring section, I looked in the book section, and I am in fact a cook. I do know what cutting boards are, but they weren't really being talked about as cutting boards, they were being talked about as page protectors. So I finally found them over in the cooking section. So if you want to do that, that's where you're going to find them. They are 11 by 14 inches. There are 2 in a package. What I did, and if this helps somebody, I hope it does, is I took both of the sheets and I cut one to fit my larger books. So my Dramenbanger, the Aries, the Romantic Countries, things like that. So I can, this is the only thing I've colored so far in this book. So I just put it in there and it protects the entire page if I want to use watercolors or if I just want to protect the other. What I like about it more than say just using a, whoops. Is that better? Than just using a piece of cardstock is, of course, the cardstock ends right there, and so you either end up with a ridge if you don't move it, or you have to move it around. And so I was just trying to make my life a little easier by having something larger. So that's for the large books. Then there was a piece left over, but it wasn't wide enough for anything else. So I used the second sheet. There we go. I used the second sheet and made one for my standard 8.5 by 11 books. If you haven't seen Dragonology and you would like me to do a flip through of it, please let me know. It is awesome if you like dragons, which I do. So that's 2 of them. Now that left remainder pieces. Since I'm frugal, this is the one from the smaller sheet. The 8.5 by 11 left a strip this wide, and it left another piece down here on the bottom. So I cut this. This is the perfect size for my swatch book. This is the remainder piece. It is a terrific bookmark. And then I was like, well, this is the one that was left over from the large sheet. And it's not very much, right? I had ordered, when I found a set of Neocolor 2s on sale actually, it was a used set, and I bought it on eBay. And most of the people on eBay know what Neocolors are, and they priced their sets that they're selling accordingly. This was a used set. It wasn't used very much. It was used a little. There we go. This is stubborn tin. Whoever used it, obviously they used this one, wore the point off, that kind of thing. And then a couple of them were broken. But if you use the Neocolors, you know that the broken bits don't matter because they color either like a crayon or, where you put it on and then activate it with water, or you can just take a brush and take it right off the pencil itself or right off the crayon itself with your brush and paint with it. If you want it to act like an actual watercolor, then you need one of these. And then when I say an actual watercolor, so that you could basically put it on a palette, which is what this is. And what you do is you use a broken bit just to show that it doesn't matter. You scribble it onto and take your water brush and activate it a little bit. Yeah. And then you can use it very much like a watercolor. You just paint with it. And what's nice about it is it dries really fast, so you don't lose a lot of your pigment, and you can just go back in with your damp brush and just keep picking it up, and it's right there, and it gives a nice smooth blend. And I like to, there's something nice about the feel of a brush, so that's why I like watercolors. But this was $10 from Karen Dash. And what makes it neat is there's like a texture to it. It's not a really rough texture, but it's enough to grab the pigment. But wait, you say, why are you showing us this? Well, guess what? The pigment the texture on this is pretty much exactly the same. It's not any rougher. It's not any lighter. In fact, it's even a little bit nicer. See how smoothly that went? It works even better than the Caran d'Ache palette. How is that for slick? And it was free. And if you remember, those deli colored pencils, they had one of these in there too. Has exactly the same texture. Another free thing. I like free things. I like it when I don't have to spend an awful lot of money on art supplies, because skill at coloring isn't in the supplies. It's in the colorist who actually practices, which is why I try and practice every day. And I know that most of you do too. And that is how we all get better. It's how I get better with every book that I draw, and it's how I get better with the coloring that I do. I simply practice because I realize that the skill of coloring is not in these tools. It is in my learning to use them and learning to use them properly. So I'm just, right now what I'm doing is just cleaning that up, kind of cleaning my brush a little bit. And then you just take a paper towel and very lightly, just making sure that all the pigment is gone off of that pencil or off the water brush. They do stain. Water brushes do stain, but there's no more pigment in it. So those are my helpful tools, my helpful free tools today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember that I'm going to put a link to those pencils in the comments below. Thumbs up, and tell your friends if you would like to subscribe. Well, I'd love to have you do it. Until then, I'll be seeing you. Christine Aldridge, CL Aldridge Art. Thank you very much.